Hello and welcome back to the Tyler Moor, where it is still winter here in the cities of Sophia, Isabella, and we're going to be taking a look at a lot of updates and developments that have happened since the last time we had an overview of the city back in the autumn. As you can see, most of the trees have lost their leaves and the snow is on the ground. But we have a lot to cover. First of all, here in New Methusela Rock, where the mining operations have mostly been moved out to other parts of the city, partly across the river to a new mining district, and another half of it moved up into the hills, the Woodford Hills, and both operations then expanded. So we have a much greater mining capacity in the Tyler Moor now. But it is fascinating to see how the changes in this area have gone. We have redeveloped this whole area into a mixed-use space that is centered around this mighty circle. And in the center of the circle is a monument to the miners who worked so hard for so long in those mines, pulling out that ore and turning it into the steel and glass that we've needed to build these big towers, such as Methusela Tower there, which is an observation tower, and TV and radio reception, satellite reception tower. Is really fascinating to see how a mountain can be mined out and turned into steel and glass to house people and businesses. Quieter parts of the neighborhood are around the circle. That's where most of the residential uses are. And as we leave further out in the circle, there are still some mining facilities, some ore warehouses, a few mines running along the river. So there's still quite a bit of noise, some freight train stations and whatnot. So we have mostly offices and businesses radiating further out from the circle, with most of the inner circle being homes. Another district in the city that has faced a lot of development since we last saw it was Milltown. So we're going to go for an up-close personal view and get to know Milltown a bit better today. We'll start off right at the border with Sophia at the Polytechnic Institute. Milltown Polytechnic. It's a wonderful school. Here we've got the administrative tower as well as the hockey arena and a football stadium right here and a massive parking lot. So nobody could ever complain about not having a parking space to get to their exam on time or for their tailgating party before the big game. Lots of parking here for them. Great university. It's this sort of place where you go when you want a practical hands-on education, heating and cooling and early childhood education and dental hygienists train here. It's really a great place that contributes to the community, bringing us a lot of well-rounded, educated workers to the community. Because Milltown needs a diverse workforce. It's not just factories. You need people to run those factories. You need engineers to build those factories. You need maintenance people. You need IT professionals. All of those people get their training here in Polytechnic, unless, of course, they've had their education outside of the Tyler Moor. Beside Polytechnic, we have Children's Hospital, the biggest children's hospital in the Tyler Moor, a sprawling complex just for the little ones. And then right beside it, we kind of have the health and wellness district. A lot of great amenities, large high school, grade school, and library here. We have an indoor pool and a gymnasium right beside the train station. On the other side of the train station here, in the old church, is the Milltown Mission. Something that's very important to this community to help those who are in need, especially in the cold winter time. In Milltown, we always stop to think about those who need a hand in our community. Here we have the Children's Aid Society. We've got the Plotsky Arms Apartments for some affordable housing, and we've got the Milltown Mission Women's and Men's Homes, helping to house those who've fallen on hard times. And the Children's Aid Society, Tyler Moore Children's Aid, TMCA, Wings for Girls and Boys, who unfortunately need a place to live because their homes are not either safe or an option for them. In Milltown, we provide places for everyone. Even here, behind the gardens, where we have a new housing development, partly worker housing expanded from downtown, but these duplexes here, these duplexes are intended for upper level management, the executives of the community. Even they don't get sprawling mansions. They have side-by-sides, semi-detached, but they are larger homes, and they do have larger yards. But the workers are not shafted. They get a beautiful beer hall. They've got a post office and a lovely palace theater. So, they can go out for an affordable night on the town on a Friday night, grab a beer and a burger, and go to a great movie. They don't even have to go very far. They can catch a streetcar uptown or just cross the street from their home. We have so much going on in Milltown we always have space and always have activities for everyone. Here we've got the largest homes and mansions in the city, and even they are not very big. They have small lot sizes for sprawling mansions. Here is the Plotsky Manor. Those who own the Plotsky Arms will be hearing a lot more about the Plotsky family over time. They're landlords and financiers in Milltown, just not the evil kind. There's more about their story coming soon. But for the most part, this uptown district in Milltown is coming along nicely. It still has some expansion to go through, just across the street here from the synagogue on both sides, and then further out near the cemetery. But through the campus, we have this main promenade. It's very important to our city and this campus. It's sort of the pedestrian highway. It stretches from one end all the way down to the other, from the border with Sofia all the way up to the synagogue, very sort of ceremonially placed at the end of it. Just a lovely place where students like to go for a stroll, but also, the fastest route from Class A to Class B, when you have to run from building to building, it is the main access point of campus. And we're just to keep it unobstructed here, I'm just going to flip the convocation building around so we don't have to have a building obstructing the main view line, the sight lines of this beautiful pedestrian boulevard. Which in the springtime, once the ground thaws, there will be some lovely blossoming trees planted. While across the boulevard here, we've got a lot of empty space to be developed by the old cemetery and the Graham Greene Furniture Factory, which is apparently having some resource issues right now. We also have more workers' housing, giant workers' flats built on this quiet, tiny little street that runs alongside the main boulevard here. It's not a cul-de-sac. You can get through either end, but it is a quiet street that no one is going to use unless they live in these buildings, which makes for a very vibrant community because there are a lot of people here and they live close together and they have a nice quiet little street on which they can gather for street parties, block parties, and just gabbing with a neighbor. Just a lovely little town. Milltown likes to include everybody. Oh, and some people apparently like to put real candles on their Christmas tree. There are fires in Milltown, just as there are fires, I'm sure, in your cities too. Here we have the main intersection of Milltown where it meets up with the road that travels across the peninsula, across each bridge to the other cities. We've got a nice little square, a fountain, Lots of streetcar tracks, just ribbons of steel from Methusela Rock running through there. Here is the Civic Auditorium for large meetings for the whole community or for performances of varying artistic kinds. Here, factories, Milltown Hall here. This part you've seen, but just a lovely town. And getting lovelier as it continues to grow and expand. We'll see a lot more about Milltown in the future. But in wintertime, the sun sets pretty early in the day, and the beautiful, brilliant lights turn on and dazzle us. So we're going to take a peek here at downtown Isabella, near Isabella Point, where the skyline is the most impressive. Not a whole lot new happening down here, but it's just dazzling to see the sparkling, glittering city lights and our beloved Crystal Palace. Here is an incubator for small businesses. It's a micro market where the Faruqi department store in Pistoria got its start as a men's shoe stand. It's the kind of place where a vendor can rent a booth by month and see how their business goes. Give it a start. Give it that first push out of the nest to see if it will take flight. It's a wonderful way to get new businesses up and running while building a community around it. It's a wonderful kind of accessible space to start a business. Everything in the Tyler Moore is really designed to be as human-friendly as possible, as socially friendly as possible, where people look out for one another, and we have institutions that help people look out for one another. But for now, we're just going to take in the beautiful sights of all of these lovely city lights of this expansive region. Multiple cities in here. We're looking at Plattersville, Kresge Point, Milltown, Sophia, Isabella. It's all in here. And out into the counties, we have a few towns we'll be investigating more later on when we head out into the countryside. We've got our Tiergarten still. I had forgotten before when we went through Peace Square in the last overview, I forgot to mention the Sophia People's Symphony, which is a beautiful symphony orchestra. They have a gorgeous palace here to play out of our older skyscrapers in the old square of Sophia. Eastern Columbia building also has an office in Pistoria, quite a big company. But for the most part, downtown here, this is about all of the news that we have to share. I think we're going to enjoy some of the night lights and call it a night, and I'll be seeing you soon again when we hit the countryside. Until then, thank you so much for joining me again. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again the next time in the merry Tyler Moore.